Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are on the floor yet again. I think it's my preferred way of filming now. I'm trying to hide this dead thing by my body and you can see the books better. Anyways, today is the day that we are going to be talking about my top 10 of 2021, the books that I loved the most. Honestly, I feel like I'm not gonna go too deep into like the plot of these books. I just want to tell you how much I love them, which, you know, may take a while. I feel like this video is still gonna be super long, so we'll see. But it was kind of challenging, like narrowing it down to 10, but we have done so and can't wait to show you them. So let's just get started. I'm gonna start with the first 5-star I gave this year, which was Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. Hopefully you've heard of this story. It's a really famous movie as well. The movie is also really good. Follow our main character, Sayuri, but she grows up in this little Japanese like fishing village. She's super beautiful, and one day she's kind of like scouted. I don't know, this guy from the city comes into the village and sees her and like thinks that she's so beautiful, and so her and her sister end up going with this man to the big city and to grow up and be a geisha. And so we see kind of an inside look into the lives of these geisha and what they're subjected to and just like their everyday lives, which I think is fascinating because it's so unreal. Like, it doesn't feel like historical fiction. It doesn't feel like it's actually happening, but it is, and it did. And I just got swept up in the story. I think it's such a good portrayal. I don't know, I loved it. And I think if you're looking for something that's historical fiction but something a little bit different, I would highly recommend this. We see her go through like the World War II era, then we see her move to like New York, I think, in more modern day. It's just so immersive and so well done. Take it with a grain of salt because it is written by a white man about a Japanese woman's life, so I don't love that. So glad I finally read this year. It was one of my favorites. Kicked off 2021 with a bang for sure. And then I think after that I read Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zusak, which I did a whole video on, so I'm not gonna go super into my thoughts on this, but we follow a family of like 5 boys in Australia grappling with the death of their mother and the disappearance of their father, and then their father comes back into their lives and is building this bridge, and he gets one of the brothers to help him, and we see the relationship. It is super confusing and not a clear story. You're just confused. You're sitting there reading into the void. However, it did make me like bawl my eyes out. So when a story can do that, it really gets me. It really makes me like look at the book differently, to be honest. So I wasn't a huge fan of this book until I started crying, and I was like, how is this happening? Like, I don't even know what's going on, yet I'm touched by it. So I loved it. I think it was the first book of the year that made me sob. So I had a really ugly copy, and then I found this copy at a thrift store for $2. So and it's signed. Love Marcus Zusak, love the book Thief. He wrote the book Thief. Loved that book, loved this one as well. Incredible. Let's do a romance. Keep a little bit lighter. Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. Everyone and their mother talks about this book, so you probably have heard of it and know what it's about, but it does deserve the hype. It is so good. I read the other 2 sisters books. Eve was definitely my favorite. I think I relate to her because I'm the youngest of 3 sisters. I also don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like, she is me. But yeah, we follow Eve Brown, who, the family has a lot of money, and she is kind of a hot mess, and her family is like, you need to grow up and get a job. So she's looking for a job. She kind of runs into this bed and breakfast and meets Jacob, who kind of owns the bed and breakfast, and so she becomes the chef at it, and they form a little grumpy sunshine romance. It is so cute. I think I loved this so much. Number one, because I could relate so much to Eve Brown, and I think that their relationship is really like real, and it's like attainable, you know? It's like tangible. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. And I also like loved the setting, like at this bed and breakfast. Like, that is the cutest thing I've ever heard. It's amazing, like one of the best romances ever. There's a reason everyone loves it. Please pick it up. It's so cute. Wow. I am gonna save my favorite for last. Not gonna lie to you. Okay, let's do another historical fiction. Things We Lost to the Water by Winn. I don't know why this book like stands out to me so much because it doesn't have great ratings, to be honest, and not a lot of people talk about it, but something about this book just like really sticks out to me and like really has its place in my heart. So we follow a Vietnamese family who comes over from Vietnam to New Orleans in 1979. So we follow the mother and her two sons. And so we see kind of all of their points of view. We see the racism, we see the struggle of this single mother who like doesn't speak English, trying to find her way in New Orleans and like provide for her sons. We see gang activity, we see homophobia, we see like so much wrapped up into one novel. I've seen some reviews were saying it's like trying to like hit too many points for one, like it's kind of short for like one short novel, but I think it succeeded, y'all. So we start from 1979 and then we go up to the time of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans in 2005. And I was talking to my mom about it because we used to live in Louisiana, like kind of close to New Orleans, and she was like, oh yeah, there were like so many Vietnamese people, and I didn't remember that, but like that's a huge part of history. Like a lot of people from Vietnam came to New Orleans after the Vietnam War, and I'm obsessed with historical fiction where like I learn things that like aren't really taught to you and aren't talked about a lot, and I think this was his debut. It was incredible. I loved the characters, I loved their dynamics, I loved everything about it. It was so good. I want to reread it, talking about it. But yeah, one of my favorites. Let's do another book of the month book. People We Keep by Allison Larkin. I just talked about this in like feel-good books, that video, so if you want to learn more, so I'll keep it brief, but I'm getting really warm. I don't know if you can tell. Getting a little rosy. We are following 16-year-old April who lives in New York, and she's kind of on her own. Like her dad is a piece of crap. She lives in this trailer, and she decides to drop out of school and pursue her dream of like being a musician. So she kind of goes around New York State and finds love, finds flings, finds friendships, and it's just about her. It's like a coming of age story, like her just like growing up and the people that she meets along the way. And I think it's such a valuable book, and it's a book that I wish that I read when I was 16 because it's just like you don't feel so alone reading it. Like you know April's story, like you've lived it, you know? And the characters in here, like the people that she meets along the way, are just spectacular. I love this book. Needs more attention, needs more love because it was so good. Quickly, The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Anyone heard of it? Everyone read this book this year. I really didn't think I would like it as much as I did because I read Circe and I did not like it. I didn't get it. I don't know that much about Greek mythology, so I think that's why I didn't really like Circe, because I felt like you needed a background in it. So that's why I didn't read this for a really long time, because I thought like I'd feel the same way. But this one is done so much better, I think. And yeah, it's like a retelling of Achilles, and I don't know how to say his name, Patroclus, but it's like a reimagining of like their love story. And obviously you kind of know how it ends because it's Achilles, but it's so beautiful. I cried. It's such a beautiful love story. There's a reason that like it's like the most popular book ever right now. So it wasn't my top 10. I didn't want it to be honest, because I want it to be different, but it was so good. Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I read this with like a week left of the year, so it snuck its way in there. He wrote House in the Cerulean Sea. I did like this one more. This one deals with death. We follow Wallace, who is middle-aged. I think he's middle-aged, but he's a lawyer, and he's just like not a good person, and he dies. And we see his journey through the beginning of death, and it's set in this like tea house. I don't know how much of that makes sense. It's hard to explain the concept, but I think that it deals with death in such a delicate way. Like, I thought it was so well done. It was kind of slow in the beginning, I will say that. I started it and I was like 100 pages in and I was like, don't think I like it because I thought I would. It is slow. You have to get through it. But then things start happening midway through-ish, and the ending is super dramatic, and I thought it was so cute as well. Again, I think, yeah, this was in my like heartwarming books video as well because it's that cute. Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McGonaghy. I'm so glad that other people love this because I thought it was like so niche to me. Like, it's about a woman who has her PhD in like wolf studies and like goes to do a reintroduction program in the Highlands of Scotland. I worked with wolves. Like, I am getting my master's right now and I eventually want to get my PhD. I'm really interested in reintroduction programs of wolves. Like, this is like me in a book. So when I read it, I was like, holy shit, like absolutely incredible. There's murder, there's love, there's mystery, there's biology, and like it's so atmospheric because it's the Highlands of Scotland. Like, it's just like so good, and it's really short too. I want to read her other books. Migrations, I think, is the other one. I'm not surprised that other people love it too, but I thought it was just like so unique to me in my life, like weirdly. Other people love it as well. It's so good. I have nothing else to say. Pick it up. It's really good for the fall time, to be honest, and winter. These are my favorite 2 of the year. It was really hard to pick my favorite because they're so different. We're gonna talk about this one first. The 100 Years of Lennie and Margot by Marianne Cronin. I've talked about this before, so I'm not gonna like talk about it for long, but we follow Lennie, who is 16 or 17, and she has this horrible illness so she like lives in a hospital basically. So one day she runs into Margot, who is in her 80s, and she kind of has this like heart condition, so she is living in the hospital as well, but she likes to kind of get into trouble. So Lennie and Margot meet in this art class, and together they're 100 years old, so they decide to paint a picture for every year of their lives so that they have 100 photos or 100 paintings. And so we go through like Lennie's backstory and her family dynamics, and then we see Margot's history and like husband, ex-husband, new husband. Like, I've never sobbed so hard. I ugly sobbed for about 2 hours reading the end of this. Like, reading the last 2 hours of this book broke me in ways. I made my sister read it, and she doesn't really read that much, and she was like, Sarah, like, I didn't shed a tear. And I was like, what is wrong with you? It is life-changing. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, this book changed my life. It was so good, and it hurts, but it's so beautiful. Oh my god, the life lessons in this book are unreal. And I think it's a debut. Like, I think it's her first novel, and I just can't imagine just like sitting down and whipping this out. Like, read it, please. Please read this book. Please read this book. Okay. Favorite book of the year though has to be Homegoing by Yajasi. I am so glad I finally read this book this year. It's been out for a couple years. It's historical fiction, surprise. That's like my favorite genre. It's a short girl. It is not long. We basically follow generations of this Ghanaian family. So we start out with 2 half-sisters who don't know they're half-sisters in Ghana, and then one side of the family, one sister and like her kin afterwards are in America, and they go through slavery up until like living in the Bronx during the Jazz Age, and then the other side marries into a white family and so can pass as white, and they're living in Ghana still, and so we just follow their lineages. It sounds so, it's a daring book. Like, that's a lot to do, but it does it literally perfectly. Like, I can't think of a more perfect book. It's kind of like short stories where we just follow like one person in the lineage for just like a chapter, and then we go back to the other lineage and follow one person, and then we go back and forth like down the family generations. Does that make sense? It's really hard to describe, but like, read it. That's all I gotta say. Read it. So good. I have no other words. Homegoing is impeccable. The ending. I can't think about the ending right now. I can't do it. Wow. Homegoing, you win. You win best of the year for me. I can't believe it's over. I can't believe I read so many good books this year. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know if you want to now. Hopefully I convince you to read at least one of them because they're so good. I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.